So obviously we know each other, but we'll introduce ourselves anyway because the folks watching might not know. I'm Linda Cook.
I'm Sharon Wren.
And we are here with the QC Crime Watch podcast. This is our first time going with video of us. So this is our maiden voyage in a lot of ways.
Bear with us.
But it's not the first time we've talked about some really, really heavy-hitting crime.
Right.
And Sharon, you have something new today. This is being recorded on Thursday.
Yes.
So something that we found out today that you'd like to share with people.
Yes, the Rock Island Police Department has released the body cam and the car cameras from the incident with Jarkata Jackson and Officer Brett Taylor on January 5th. The video is on our Facebook page. It's on the Rock Island Police Department's Facebook page, but we should warn you, it could be a little graphic, so viewer discretion is advised.
Okay, Sharon, I haven't seen this yet. So, but you have,
Yes.
correct?
Yes.
So tell me what's upsetting about it, not without going into a lot of detail. What do people hear? What do people see?
Well, for somebody who doesn't like severe language, it is bleeped, but you can figure out from the context what the words are. You can hear people crying and screaming in the background. At one point, there's officers performing CPR on Jackson. It's upsetting.
It's
very
upsetting. And this is such a tragedy. Now,
Yes.
this happened, I think, January 5th, right?
January 5th of this year.
Okay, and this was at night, and the reason I know that, I went to this call, at the time it was a call.
Right.
I knew something had happened. There was a car running, there was crime scene tape up around this car, the doors were open, and I could tell just by the way that the emergency responders were moving, something dreadful had happened, but I didn't know what it was. So Sharon, could you go into that a little bit more about what did happen?
Well, Officer Taylor saw the vehicle that Jarkata Jackson was driving and knew that there was a warrant out for him.
Okay.
It was for a misdemeanor incident. And the officer pulled him over, did a traffic stop. I'm trying to remember. Jackson got out of the car and took off running. And Officer Taylor was in pursuit, and that's when you heard some saucy words,
Right.
shall we say. He got back into the car where two other people and two children were in the vehicle.
Okay, so this is a full car.
This is a full car, but the windows were heavily tinted,
Okay.
which is illegal in Illinois, but that's how the officer couldn't tell who was in the car. Mr. Jackson put the vehicle into gear, and Officer Taylor, I believe, broke a window, tried to get to him. Jackson moved ahead in the vehicle, dragging Officer Taylor, who, fearing for his life, opened fire.
Okay, and thereby struck Jarkata Jackson,
Yes.
who was 21,
Yeah.
a father. I believe he was a UTHS graduate, played football there. So well known in the community. And now we've had an investigation.
Right.
And what was the upshot of that?
The Department of Criminal Investigations, DCI, ruled that the shooting was justified, that the officer was in fear for his life and the lives of anybody else because Jackson was also driving a bit erratically.
This is so sad.
Those kids that were in the back seat, they were right there. They saw everything.
And they're little kids.
They're little kids. Not toddlers, but lower grade school, I would say.
And then two adults.
And then two adults.
So this, the other news that we have about Brett Taylor, Officer Taylor, is that he is back on the job, correct?
Yes, he's been cleared in the investigation, so he's back on the job.
Okay, well, there's been a lot of talk about this. I'm hoping that because we have this video, that helps clear up some things in people's minds. I know that when there is a tragedy, people assume things, and
social media is no help.
No help at all. So it's just tragic all the way around.
It's completely heartbreaking.
So if you want to see that video, go to right here on ourquadcities.com and we have the whole video.
We have the video. We also have a link to the Rock Island Police Department's Facebook page where they also have some video.
Okay. Well, I hope that sheds some light on this. We had another case that people continue to talk about that we found a little bit more out this week. I spoke with Scott County Attorney Kelly Cunningham, and she explained to me why no criminal charges will be pressed against Andrew Wold.
Negligence is not something that we deal with in the criminal arena.
She says the case does not fit into a homicide charge.
Involuntary manslaughter by way of elements. First of all, he has to be involved in the commission of a crime.
So Kelly explained to me the difference between criminal and civil cases. Now, there's more to it than this, of course. This is just a very, very quick overview. But criminal cases have to do with crimes, and those are set forth in statutes that legislators make. So when there is a trial, a person on trial is, especially in a jury trial, you think of this, a jury is asked to determine whether that circumstance can be applicable to the description of the crime. Right? So there are certain things that must be met for it to be considered homicide, to be considered involuntary manslaughter. In civil court, negligence is a civil matter. So Kelly says, Ms. Cunningham says that this is not a criminal matter, this is one for the civil courts, and that is where the lawsuit is. Right. And you and I both have written about this lawsuit. This happened May 28, 2023, when an apartment building partially collapsed in downtown Davenport. At that time, Andrew Wold owned that building, but he hadn't owned it very long, about 2 years. He bought it in June of 2021. So Ms. Cunningham told me that because he was processing through repairs to that west wall, actively processing this, that this is only a civil suit. And she said it's obviously a civil suit. There have been people crying out, sometimes in front of people's houses, sometimes in front of government facilities, for Wold to face criminal charges. But that is not appropriate here, and she has told me that several times. We do have a story about that. We have a Division of Criminal Investigation synopsis, not the whole report, but a synopsis of that report on ourquadcities.com. I think the main thing that Kelly wanted to emphasize is that people guess about these things, whether it is this tragic death of a young man or the tragic deaths of 3 men and the ghastly injury of a young woman in the apartment collapse.
We're all armchair investigators.
Exactly. And so what you and I are trying to do is give people more information so they understand why these situations are processing the way they do and the way they have.
Right. Well, on a slightly lighter note, I mean, it's still crime, but it's not quite as heavy as these other 2 stories. 3 people were recently arrested in Oquawka, Illinois, in connection with a burglary at DC's Bar and Tavern.
Okay, now that's in Henderson County.
That's in Henderson County. Mm-hmm. The 3 allegedly broke in, took some items, and left in a white SUV. A deputy on patrol saw the SUV, pulled them over, and found items that were taken from the tavern. What makes this story unusual is one defendant is 19 years old, and the other 2 are minors. Dayton Murray from Burlington, the 19-year-old, was arrested along with a girl from Carmen, Illinois, and a girl from Oquawka. Because the 2 are minors, we don't know their names, we won't be able to follow them through the court system. Mr. Murray is waiting for his initial court appearance, but all 3 have been released under the terms of the Safety Act. You just don't hear about 19-year-olds and minors breaking into bars very often.
No, you don't, and it's a good thing, but I'm hoping that this is the last time they do it, if they did it, and also that maybe this might scare them straight, so to speak.
Oh, let's hope so.
Sharon, that's it for me. I have a couple of sentencings that we'll talk about next week. I know that in Scott County next week there are some murder trials, or at least accusations, that are going to be playing out in the courthouse. So I will try to be there for some of that. And in the meantime, of course, stolen cars have been the subject of a lot of what you and I have written. So once again, we encourage you, please, lock your cars.
Don't leave your key fob in.
That's right, and just assume that there's somebody waiting to take it, even if you're going to be gone for a minute, and that will help police and help thwart crime.
Right.
Well, I do have one more story that is related to cars. There was a woman who was arrested, a woman from Davenport, who was arrested during a high-speed chase through Davenport and Bettendorf in a Volkswagen Beetle. Mm-hmm. Yes, the Beetle was clocked going over 50 miles an hour in a 25-mile-an-hour zone and doing over 60 in a 30 zone. The driver has been identified as Amanda Meyer, who had a non-valid driver's license. So officers found the car abandoned near Meyer's address, and a neighbor's video footage showed Meyer and another person running to her home and knocking on the door. Officers got a search warrant, and Meyer and the passenger were found in the attic. They searched her car and found indica and a THC vape. She's arrested. She's been charged with some felonies. We don't know what type of engine was in the Beetle, but an online search says that the 1600 engine version tops out at 82 miles an hour.
Wow.
Yeah. So if you're going to elude, don't do it in a Volkswagen Beetle.
No.
Well, that is all the time we have for Quad Cities Crime Watch this week. Join us next time for more on the crimes that make the Quad Cities lock their doors at night.
At least we hope you do.
Hopefully.